When Disneyland first opened in 1955, most of the stores on Main Street, USA were leased to companies outside of the Disney Company that were to help financially aid the park. Some of these stores were very weird and interesting. I want to start with, in my opinion, the weirdest store. The store that was the home to the wonderful Wizard of Oz. This store was run by the Hollywood Maxwell Brasserie Company of Los Angeles. When taking a stroll down Main Street, USA, guests could enter a store labeled Intimate Apparel Brasseries Tourcelets. A pale yellow building was the home to this bizarre store. Guests would walk up 3 steps onto the porch, and then they would open the door to the weirdest Disney attraction or store ever. The interior of the store was decorated with apparel from the Victorian era. Mannequins that were dressed with Victorian era attire disappeared when you turn your head. With the clothing gone, the mannequin was left bearing only corsets and pantaloons. Also, a Singer sewing machine from the 1860s could be seen. The main attraction, the Hollywood Maxwell Company's mascot, the Wizard of Oz, would guide you through the history of underwear from the Victorian era all the way to the then modern 1950s style. Yeah, this attraction was extremely weird. The Wizard of Oz was a mechanical figure that stood on a revolving stage. This artwork of the wizard really didn't show what it really looked like in the actual attraction. A rare photo of the wizard is seen in a newspaper article giving us a look at what the wizard really looked like. The store later closed in January 1956, not even lasting a full year since opening. The China Closet on Main Street that was next door to the Intimate Apparel store expanded into the Wizard of Oz former showplace. Now the entrance to the former Intimate Apparel shop is left with no sign. You can walk up the stairs to the porch, but the door into where the Wizard of Oz educated guests about the history of underwear is no longer accessible. The exterior of the Intimate Apparel store was repainted blue with a white trim, and that is the way it remains to this day. This often forgotten Disneyland attraction, I think, was closed for the better. The next weird Main Street USA store is the Disneyland Tobacco Shop. Yeah, there was a tobacco shop in Disneyland. The tobacconist opened with Disneyland, but wasn't like the Intimate Apparel shop. It was an original Disney store, meaning it wasn't owned by an outside company selling product at the park. Nowadays, Disney would never consider anything in relation to this, especially with Disney's recent smoking ban in the Disney parks. But in 1955, times were different. This shop was called the Tobacconist, and it sold you guessed it, tobacco. They had handmade pipes and other smoking-related products. Complimentary tobacconist matchbooks were offered, similar to how chocolate is offered at Ghirardelli at Disney Springs or Disney California Adventure, except with chocolate, of course. Souvenir lighters were also sold. Also, several brands of cigarettes were sold, but those were kept underneath the counter for whatever reason. After purchasing a cigarette, guests were free to roam the park while smoking, though smoking was prohibited on attractions. Later, until this year, designated smoking areas were placed in specific areas around Disneyland. The outside of the shop exclaimed "Fine Tobacco" and the store's name Tobacconist. The Native American chief on Main Street is actually a remnant from the tobacconist shop. Long ago, tobacco stores in the US would place a Native American figure outside of the store. The Native American figure was placed outside of the store to let potential customers know that the store sold tobacco. This is because some people did not know how to read in the US. These early tobacco stores used Native American figures because Native Americans introduced tobacco to early European settlers. The tobacconist store closed in 1990, 35 years after Disneyland's opening. The closure was in response to the anti-smoking messages that became prevalent in the US. Grandma's Baby Shop sold baby clothing, shoes, and other accessories. In the windows outside of the store, dolls were displayed wearing baby clothes. It was actually placed right beside the Intimate Apparel store. Not much else is known about the store, but Grandma's Baby Shop closed by the end of summer 1955 because Disney realized guests wanted to shop for Disney products, not products from outside companies, especially underwear. This was the first of the weird Main Street USA stores to close.
would indeed.
Jimmy Star's Show Business Souvenirs opened in 1956, not too long after Disneyland's opening. Guests could purchase set photos, collectible movie books, and actor autographs from the store. Guests could also see real movie props. Real movie props? Yes, Kermit. Younger guests that visited Disneyland did not know who Jimmy Star was, so this Main Street shop did not get much attention from guests. In the later 50s, Disney decided to swap out the prop store for a music shop, but it later closed in 1959. It later opened as Wonderland Music. The candle shop opened in 1958 and sold, you guessed it, candles. That's really it. The room the store was housed in was filled wall to wall with candles. In fact, the store had 75,000 candles, including candles shaped like food. The store was home to a rather colorful array of candles, but it later closed in 1977 just because Disney was looking to add different merchandise in its place. The World Lister Music Hall opened with Disneyland on July 17, 1955. It wasn't really a store exactly, it was more of a piano/organ display room. Guests could not purchase the piano/organs in the park, but they could look at them to consider future purchases. The music hall also acted as a place to showcase future Disneyland projects, including unbuilt Disneyland projects. Until 1957, the World Lister Music Hall shared a door with the Wonderland Music Company. This was one of the longer-lived original Main Street shops, as it closed in September 1968. Ellen's Gift Shop was another interesting Main Street shop, as it was a combination of a blacksmith shop and a woodworker shop. In this shop, guests could purchase miniatures, which Walt Disney loved miniatures, wooden frames, and other metal and wood souvenirs. The Hallmark Card Shop, another Main Street shop, later took over Ellen's Gift Shop, leaving Ellen's Gift Shop a part of Disneyland history. Ellen's Gift Shop lost its namesake in 1957 and officially became part of the Hallmark Card Shop in 1960. At Cole of California Swimsuits, you could buy swimsuits and other beach accessories. Fred Cole was a silent movie star and the one responsible for the Cole of California line. He owned and operated the Cole of California Swimsuits shop on Main Street, USA. The shop lasted until 1957, and the Cole of California Swimsuit building still stands on Main Street, USA today, but it is not visible from the street. To see the now closed shop, you have to walk through the refreshment corner, or as Disneyland fans call it, Coke Corner's seating area, all the way to the back. The past Cole of California Swimsuits building is mostly blocked by trees and umbrellas though. Gibson's greeting cards sold paper souvenirs, greeting cards, and postcards. This was so guests could send mail to family and or friends, letters. Actually, Gibson's greeting cards was designed by Disney legend John Hinch. This store opened with Disneyland, but it closed later in 1959. The reasons for its closure was that Disney's contract with Gibson Art Company had expired. The store was closed in 1959 for re-theming, and the Hallmark Card Shop replaced the former Gibson's greeting card store in 1960. Now, the last weird Main Street USA store was Sunnyview Farms Incorporated Jellies and Jams, and they sold jams, jellies, and candied fruit. This shop opened on July 17, 1955 with Disneyland and later closed in the summer of 1957. The reason for its closure is unknown, but it's probably because guests would not buy jam at Disneyland. Most of these weird Main Street USA stores closed within the first years of Disneyland's existence, and I think that was for the better. Have a magical day and a great big beautiful tomorrow. Till the spire.